All right, the recording has started. We are
All right.
back with another episode of Clean Breakthrough brought to you by Greenville Transitions. Today we have a pretty cool episode, in my opinion, just my opinion. But we have a very special guest bringing a hot topic to the table. We have our master's level clinician, Johanna, bringing up, let me say, this topic was brought up by popular demand. Other families that we work with, they were like, please have Johanna bring this topic to the table. So the topic of the day is stinking thinking.
Thinking.
Real stinky.
Oh boy.
Ew.
Let's go, Johanna, a big round of applause for joining the podcast today. Here she goes.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here. It's my podcast debut. So here, let's do this.
Perfect. Well, I guess first, kick us off, Johanna. This is obviously a very important topic to you. It's something you go over a lot within the office, within family groups. Why does this stand out to you?
Yeah. So, gosh, I've been doing this for 24 years now. That's crazy. And when I first heard about cognitive distortions or stinking thinking, it hit home on so many different levels. But it really came to me like we all have that negative running commentary. We all have that little voice inside of us that says, "Not good enough, not worth. You're worthless. This isn't going to work out." So when I heard about cognitive distortions, aka stinking thinking, it really became my bread and butter. I wanted to know more about why we think the way we do, and then what that actually looks like for the types we're going to discuss today, and then how we can move through our cognitive distortions to stinking thinking to kind of reinvent our narrative moving forward.
Very nice, David. These won't apply to you because your brain is in tip-top shape. No stinking thinking at all.
No.
So I need you to just try to be patient with Johanna while she's explaining this for us peasants and other people. We might relate to this stuff. Okay.
Yeah, and there are so many different types of stinking thinking. I think there's over like 40 cognitive, don't quote me, cognitive distortions. But as we look with those with substance use disorder, we have found that these top 10 are the ones we see most often, most frequently. And these are the top 10 that I actively work with on reframing. And you're going to hear me say reframe a lot. It gets annoying. I interrupt people when they have a cognitive thought distortion. I'll say reframe, and they're like, "You're interrupting me." I'm like, that's the point. That's the point. I want to stop that thought and then reframe it. So
yeah, it sounds like just bringing the reframing part, just like bringing awareness to it. It's
yeah,
like we're doing this like subconsciously, not even really aware of it. So it's like hey, like pause, note that.
Absolutely.
Let's try it again till it becomes second nature.
And I tried to do like a hand to signal or like, stop, but that I didn't feel like that was getting the intensity I wanted. So now I just interrupt them with reframe. I think I do it with my husband too, and he really loves that. I'm not your patient. And I said, well, stop having a negative thought. stop thinking. He's like, but he's receptive,
Cool.
Yeah. Well, let's dive right into it. Let's get into number one of the 10 cognitive distortions of stinking thinking.
All right. Well, the first stinking thinking thought is called all or nothing. Pretty self-explanatory. All or nothing. You love me, you hate me. I'm going to have one drink. I'm going to have 12 drinks. It's really more of just kind of when you're falling off the wagon, if you will. I use it as I had a bite of ice cream and then I eat a pint of ice cream. So it's just kind of that very black and white, all or nothing. One is too many, 1,000 is never enough.
Do you think that's more likely to happen when people are trying to like really cut out a behavior, or you know what I mean? Like they're really trying to stop something and they can like white knuckling or holding on, then it finally like crack, and then
yeah, I mean, I just feel like it's like, well, if I'm gonna do it, I've got to do it all. So I'm gonna stop eating chips. I'm gonna stop eating bread. I'm gonna stop, eating cookies. And then, oh my gosh, there's nothing left to eat but a carrot and lettuce.
Yeah.
Very, like in alcohol and drug use, I'm going to stop drinking. I'm gonna stop using cocaine, and I'm gonna stop smoking cigarettes. And, you know, that all in mentality kind of when you aren't successful or we take a baby step back, then you feel like a failure. So then then we'll go back all in. So that's kind of the way it starts.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because like, it makes me think of, like how people will crash diet.
Exactly.
You know, they're trying to like stop everything and then it just doesn't work out. So I
Yeah.
do think like with things like food, like some nuance is really important. Like still have candy, still have cake, but like moderation. With
Yeah.
substance use, it's like really hard because I think many of the people that I've worked with, at least personally over the years, like moderation doesn't really work. And sometimes you have to like kind of help with people realize that, or they've been trying that already by the time they're like sitting on the couch.
Right.
And so realizing like there is like a risk with going abstinence and stopping everything, that it could like, if they're not working on the other ways of getting like dopamine or joy and excitement in their life, if they're not finding other ways to do it, it is going to lead to this like it's all or nothing crash out. You know?
And I still say baby steps are still steps. So kind of like changing the mentality of I mean, especially when we're in the throes of addiction, yes, we need to stop it all. However, I think if we're looking at the distortion of thinking, I've got to give it all up, this is how it's going to be forever. Changing the mentality is that baby steps are still steps, and I'm going to stop this, or I'm going to work on this, which then leads into better healthy choices down the road. Yeah.
David,
So
do you have any ideas? David, how would you reframe all or nothing? How would you work through that if you were stuck in all or nothing? If you just had to imagine, pretend that ever you've ever experienced.
You have no experience with that.
Yeah. How would I work through it? I mean, normally I'm bad about this. So normally other people call me out. I keep people around me that'll be like, hey, you're doing that thing again. Like you're trying to do that crazy diet again, or you're trying to do that like exercise again. That causes me to check myself. Funny and like for me, when I hear that all or nothing, I think of it in terms of if I'm like, what first thing that comes to mind? If I mess up once, I might as well give up completely. Like I can remember that as a kid of like not being good at swim team, and so I was like, well, then I just want to quit competing overall because I don't want to risk failing at it. Like if I'm not the best at it, I don't want to do it. So it kept me from trying a lot of things as a kid.
Yeah. And I think it does. I mean, I think, you know, I'm either, you know, with a gambling perspective, it's like, let's go all in. You know, I'm going to put all my chips on black, you know, 25 black. But there's the entire table that I could have played. Not the gambling is what we need to be doing, but speaking from experience. And so learning that, you know, that I had to baby step it out and that I needed to change the way I thought about the choices I was making. I didn't have to go all in. And once I was able to kind of literally take that off the table, there was so much less fear of the failure, so much less anxiety of, I can't have any of that. I'm on none of that. So I think there's a freedom in that gray area of thinking.
Yeah. It makes me think too of like just being really self-compassionate. Like, you're not going to do things perfect. And just like having to remind yourself of that, you know, like just still try the next day, still keep trying. Baby steps I considered earlier, like just keep trying and not just like, you know, packing up, taking your toys home and being like, F this, I'm done with it, you know?
Well, I think as we go through this list, the most important thing that I really want to point out is the awareness. So at the end of I have a packet on Stinking Thinking, and there's a question on the back that says, what two types, and I've done this with a lot of families, a lot of parents, a lot of individuals, but what two types jump out to you the most and why? And then, you know, as we go through the 4 to 5 week process on this packet, it's what two did jump out to you the most and why, and how can we work on them? But again, it's the awareness and being able to catch yourself and identifying, oh, I just had 4 cookies instead of 1 cookie. Oh, I just went all in with, you know, betting on the football, or, you know, I just had 5 beers, you know, whatever the example is. But the awareness part of it is key for me. It's identifying, you know, emotions trigger thoughts and thoughts trigger behaviors. So if I can get a grip or get an idea of why I'm feeling this way or thinking this way, then there's hope in me changing that behavior. And that's what, you know, that's what Thinking Thinking is all about for me.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Very good.
What do we have for number 2?
Oh goodness, overgeneralization. Overgeneralization is pretty much seeing seeing one event, one experience as a pattern of defeat. And we see this in early recovery is, well, I've been sober 30 days and then I had a slip or a relapse. Those 30 days, so you look at it overgeneralization, well, that was a complete failure. Those 30 days don't mean anything. And that's absolutely not true. The fact is that you had 30 days sober. The fact is you didn't eat 6 donuts. So kind of not dwelling, not sitting in the pattern of defeat, even though there may not have been a pattern to begin with. But that thought is, well, I've failed, so I can't go back, which hurts because that negates all the sobriety, all the hard work, all the interventions, all the coping skills that you've implemented. And then you can lead that in overgeneralization is, I'm a failure in recovery, or I'm a failure as a husband and a wife. I'm a failure at work. And so then it's a complete spiral. And so you have to be really cautious that not everything is bad and not everything is a failure or to be discounted.
I see a smile on Cole's face.
David,
yeah, tell me more,
dude,
Cole.
David, I feel like what we should be doing, David and I should be, when we hear this, we should then tell each other when we do these things. Like,
well, yeah.
I'm like, David, when you do this, you overgeneralize, and then he can do the same thing back to me. Like, Cole, when you do this, you're overgeneralizing, like getting all in each other's business.
Oh, yeah.
What's really funny is that Sophie and I do that. And one of my dear friends, I've taught her a lot about stinking thinking because, again, my bread and butter about cognitive distortions. And I'll go, you just use the word always. You just discounted the positive experience, which we'll get to. But yeah, I think it's important to be able to recognize them and then be accountable to reframing it.
Yeah. I think even as a mental health practitioner, this is a really easy one to fall into. Like, you're walking with people as they're trying to go through some pretty hard stuff, and there's going to be hard days. And even at the substance abuse counselor, you're going to have clients relapse. And if you're not doing a great job of taking care of yourself, when they're struggling, it can become everybody struggling. Does anybody, I've literally had thoughts for, I'm like, does anybody ever even get better? What is the point in all this? The therapy even work? Is recovery even real? And I have to pull back and get some perspective on that and be like, all right, it's just a tough day. It's just been a tough month, tough year, or whatever. And just because it feels like this right now doesn't mean it's going to last forever. So
absolutely. Yeah. And I call it stuckness. I don't know if I made that. I think I probably made that word up. Whatever. Or maybe I got it from Alice in Wonderland. But I feel like, when we stay in our stuckness, we can sense, the world just looks very bleak, and the overgeneralization of why am I doing this? What's the point? And then to reframe that, it was a rough week. It was a rough day. And we would be naive to think that there aren't going to be hungry, angry, lonely, very bad days, halt days, if you will, and so I think it's, again, if you can learn to tell, and I do this, it's obnoxious. I do it to myself, reframe, rephrase, to myself, and we'll get to the rephrase later. But being just aware that it's not the end all be all.
Yeah. All right.
I need to start saying reframe to myself.
Oh boy.
More.
Yeah, it's really funny. Once you start it, again, I've been doing this long enough. I think I either do it subconsciously or out loud. However, it really, I can, after 24 years, it really has changed the way I engage in my internal dialogue and then the way I engage in my external dialogue. And that's really the point, is that I change the way I think, feel, and behave. Then inevitably I'm going to change the way I think and feel and behave and engage with other people. Which, when you see that dynamic change, it's exciting. It's like, that's what I was talking about the whole time,
Yep. All right.
Number 3, mental filter. So of my 2, this was definitely something I struggled with. So mental filter is kind of pulling out one single event and dwelling on it. There's an example in the books that calls it you know, it looks like you have a beaker of water and you put a drop of ink in it and it kind of discolors the whole beaker of water. And so it's kind of like, I have an example of, I was doing a presentation and I write all of my own handouts. My daddy says I need to write a book. I have over 400 of my own packets, and y'all know the packets. But I was doing a presentation and I thought I'd done really well and I felt really good about it. And I had probably a bunch of people come up to me and they're like, "Joanna, great job." I'm like, "Thank you so much." Yeah, whatever. And then I had someone say, "You know, I really liked it, you know, but," and I just thought, "Oh God, I'm a failure. The entire group didn't like it. Let me go back to the drawing board and write this entire presentation over again." And it really made me feel inadequate. And I'm like sitting here thinking, and it was actually on cognitive distortions on my stinking thinking. And I'm like, I know this. Like, I had to reframe that thought. Like, I'm not going to allow one, and it wasn't even a negative comment. It just wasn't, you know, hip hop hooray for Johanna. But I had to take that mental filter and say, you know, it was a good presentation. People liked it. They got what they needed to from it. You are not a failure. And Cole, I know you get this from me a lot. Am I good enough? Was I worthy enough of that? And so I really have to check myself on mental filter, because it can really take you down a dark hole. Like, and even knowing I did well, like knowing I was proud of what I know about cognitive distortions and stinking thinking was like, did I do well? I don't know. Maybe I didn't. Gosh, let me go back to the drawing board, which was ridiculous at the time.
Yeah. It's just like focusing on like the one shot you miss instead of like the 15 you made.
Yep.
Why do you guys think, I'm curious what y'all think. Why do you think we as humans are prone to that? Like that mental filter of going back and like revisiting that?
David?
I mean, I think because we lived on, I think our brains are built to like predict the next move, like to predict what's about to happen next as a human being. So we really hone in on our flaws, or where we think we failed, to protect us from that happening in the future, to prevent it from happening in the future. But like this, like live in the moment type thing, I don't think is normal for a human. A lot of people would disagree with that statement, but I think like as humans, we like to predict what people are going to say down to the very last.
Yeah.
And I didn't say word there. If I said
whatever, right,
belly button, you know, you'd have been like, whoa, what did he just say? That's crazy, because you're like already predicting what's about to come out of my mouth. So I think because we're built like that, when we have these feelings of inadequacy or failure or whatever, we just really want to hone in to say, like, how can we protect ourselves from that happening again?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely agree. I think for me, just over the years, you know, self-worth, you know, not being told that I was a good writer, not necessarily, sorry, mom and dad, not saying y'all did that, but not having, I'll talk to my therapist about that one. No, saying, you know, having that internal dialogue, am I good enough? I wasn't told I was good enough. This is a good paper, but I'm afraid to let anybody edit it. So now I'm going in front of 300 people to really hope that what I think is good enough. So for me, it was more of just like not being, for a lack of a better, like nurtured and shared that I was good at what I thought I was good at, if that makes sense. So my mental filter really came from, you know, childhood and growing up, and then having toxic relationships or toxic work environment. You know, no one really said, "Good job, Johanna." So I had to be, and I'm a cheerleader. You know, I was my own cheerleader, but it gets kind of lonely out there on the island when you're questioning yourself all the time. So for me, it was more of just like, you know, past stuff that wasn't processed that now I know.
Yeah, it's interesting because you're like describing it like your brain is trying to protect you to keep you from experiencing those pains again. It's like, oh, don't miss that shot, or don't say that thing that leads to this social rejection or pain from the past, and like trying to protect you. And I agree too with what you were saying, David. I do think our brains are wired that way. We're constantly trying to protect ourselves. So it's really hard to be in the present moment. And so we're just predicting, you know?
And how exhausting is that?
It's very.
Yeah.
All right.
My example too. The example was you're trying to predict every last word that's coming out of my mouth, and
Belly
instead of
button.
mouth, you say something else.
Salute.
But two, I gotta say this: the worst is like in a social setting for me, like we're out with friends or a party or something, and I say a joke that just like does not hit the mark, doesn't land, it just sails out into the distance, going over everyone's heads.
Yeah.
Dude, I will think about that. It'll keep me up at night for like the next 3 nights of like,
Yeah.
why did I say that?
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I get that. I do this with Cole a lot. Like I will
Mhm.
say I had an encounter with a
Yeah.
patient or a parent,
Like
and I will
awkward.
present it to him in such a way that did not happen, but only makes me look insane, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
then I will send Cole, I will blast Cole text like, hey, look, I'm sorry that I presented it to you this way. I really didn't. And he's like, last text he said was, you don't have to text me this. I'm like, oh, thank you so much, because I've been sitting in my office for 4 hours.
Just
Yeah.
want to
Worrying about
clarify,
what
I
told
didn't say
you.
this saying to that person, and this way, I was just, what you say, like, oh, it's just Johanna being Johanna. Like, I mean, I'm like, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, I'm gonna pre-apologize for the next mental filter I have.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny. All right, what's our next one, y'all?
Number 4.
Next one is discounting the positive. Now, a lot of these can kind of go hand in hand, but discounting the positive is just like you have a good day, you have a good feeling, and you completely dismiss it. It doesn't count. It doesn't matter. It's fleeting. Something is going to happen awful tomorrow. So why should I feel good about something that happened today? And for this one, it really just steals joy. Discounting the positive. I by nature am optimistic, and to have 2 glasses half full. I know people close to me that are not, and so kind of like we're going to get to the next one of minimization, but it's just not feeling that it matters, that it was positive, not feeling the hope, the joy, the experience in the moment, because, well, why would it matter anyway? My life has been a disaster. And then when I do count the positive, man, life's going to hit me and I'm going to be on my ass, and it's not going to count anyway. So it's really, I feel like discounting the positive is such a succubus. It just sucks it all out, and that leaves you kind of feeling hopeless.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, because I think sometimes you see people who use like optimism as like a protective mechanism, and maybe we'll talk about that in the next one. But like it makes me wonder, like, if the antidote to this is like gratitude.
Oh wow.
Like instead of it being, I just have to like be blindly positive, or like everything best case scenario, because sometimes things are hard, sometimes there is pain, but like gratitude is like this like kind of like antidote to this like pessimism. It's like, okay, there are things to be grateful for. It's like that first day after you've had a cold and your nose is finally clear and you can breathe, and you're like, thank the Lord that I can actually breathe through my nose. It's been miserable for a week. So I don't know. I wonder, what do you guys think of that? Like gratitude being the antidote?
Yeah, with the discounting the positive, I was at a training many years ago, and the guy passed out 3 Post-its, and I have these yellow dingy Post-its to this day. But for discounting the positive, he made me write 3 positive affirmations, either, and I'll tell you what they are. The first one is where I do my makeup in the bathroom. It says, I am beautiful. There are days where I do not feel beautiful, especially at 6 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock at night. I don't feel beautiful. So that says I'm beautiful. On the coffee maker is the serenity prayer. And on the back of the front door, and this is the dingiest one because it's been moved from every house I've moved to, it says you're funny. And I think I am hysterical. So watch out, stand-up comics. But whether I believe them or not, whether I had a hungry, angry, lonely, very bad day or not, I could, when I'm discounting the positive, I can look at those positive affirmations and remind myself that I am funny, that I am beautiful, and that, serenity is there. And I do think you're right, 100%, Cole, about the gratitude. If we can just reframe that. Okay, so it was an awful day, well, what in that awful day wasn't so awful, right? I do that a lot with people around me. Like,
Yeah.
okay, it can't be that awful. And if it was that awful, what was the mini awful of the awful? And that kind of
Yeah.
reframes things too.
And that's where like some of the really shitty days kind of like help on some other, like, man, like there was this day where I had to like rush this family member to the hospital. There was this day where my car broke down on the way home from work. There was this day where whatever, there's like this really rough stuff that can happen. And I think there's a way to take that and then like, well, and I don't want to say at least it. I'm not trying to silver line everything, but like,
Right.
man, like I'm glad I got home. I'm glad my AC works in my car. I'm glad like I'm walking and I'm not on crutches right now, whatever. So,
well, there's also, I feel like when I jump up in the morning, I can't hold on to things. So, when you like, you get up and you drop the
Are you
pen
dropping coffee mugs around the house?
you drop your pen you're writing with for your to-do list. Then you go in the coffee and you spill your coffee. The cup falls and breaks. Then as you're cleaning it up, you hit your head on the cabinet. Like all of that has happened to me. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be the worst day ever. And it's only, 9:04 in the morning. And so, and then I've already discounted the positive before my day has even started.
Yep.
I mean, let's not even saying like discounting the positive on the bad day, but like preemptively saying today's going to suck because I dropped my pen, I broke my cup, and I hit my head. And so kind of like reframing, and that's happened, reframing that to not discount the positives that are going to happen, or reframing it to, well, what was the least awful thing that happened today? And I found that to be really helpful.
All right, let's see if we can guess each other's word that we would say in that terrible scenario in which you like dropped your coffee, hit your head. What is the word that's coming out of your mouth? Let's see if we can guess it. If you don't want to say the actual word, you can just say like the first letter. Did we get any guesses for each other? I know very clearly what mine is. I want y'all to guess. Do you have any idea what my word would be? Imagine Cole in his hoodie at his house, drops his coffee, big mess, bends over, hits his head, like just. Anybody got any guesses on what the word?
David, I'm gonna let you go first.
All right, so David says F-bomb. Okay, Johanna, do you have any guesses?
That would be my first guess, but because that was already chosen, I think it would be more of the S word.
Okay, it's gonna be the MF word. It's gonna be
Mother.
Yeah, it's gonna be that's gonna be the go-to there.
Throw
in
some
that
extra
scenario.
heat behind it. Little emphasis.
Bro, that sounds like a nightmare. Nightmare. What would you say, David?
I would say, dag nabbit.
Oh, fiddlesticks.
Jeez, what kind of hullabaloo is this?
By golly,
who messed up my morning?
I think you're gonna say, I think I might go F-bomb for you. Yeah, F-bomb for you.
Drop an F-bomb.
And then Johanna, I'm thinking like a rat-a-tat-tat-tat. Like it's like a GDMF. Just think of me. Bam, 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 bam.
It's a song, if you will.
Yes. Yeah, we're rapping now.
I think mine was on the F. It's the F. There's probably inappropriate before that, but I like the up. The very ending of it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I like the at the end of it. And I'm like,
I have a series of unfortunate words.
Yeah. All right, cool.
And man, there is something. I know my mother would kill me, but however, there's just something good about cussing. It's just I don't know. That's my own personal opinion. That is not a GT clinical opinion, by the way.
I will make it because I think there is something like cathartic about like wringing that stress out. Like kind of have to just like bleh, like. Yeah, kind of like get it out, and then you can like get more logical.
It just doesn't flow that way well, David.
No. All right, what's our next one?
Number 5.
We are jumping to conclusions. So there are 2 different parts of jumping to conclusions, and it's mind reading and fortune telling. Fortune telling would probably be the other one I struggle with the most. But jumping to conclusions is assuming something's going to happen the way that you think it's going to happen based on nothing. So what I ask patients and families to do is when you jump to conclusions, you ask yourself, like, based on what is this true and or what is my evidence? Like, So I worked on an inpatient psychiatric hospital for from 2019 to 2022, all through COVID. And there were some hungry, angry, lonely, very bad days when I'm walking into the unit at 6 a.m. And no offense, guys, like I don't care about your problems. I am barely waking up. I haven't had
Mhm.
coffee. And
Mhm.
patients will be like, "Hey, Johanna." And, typically rainbows and sunshine. And I would just be like, "Hey, guys." And I would get into group and they would jump to conclusions and fortune tell. Johanna's mad at me. Johanna
Mhm.
hates me. Johanna must have been, had something horrific happen to her because, she's not her normal self. So I would have to backtrack and say, I just woke up. Like I'm just coming into the unit. And so that jumping to conclusions, assuming that my my lack of excitement or my lack of throwing out 100 hellos has anything to do with you, much less fortune telling that the day that our relationship has changed within the 12 hours that I left the hospital, came back to the hospital. So yeah, jumping to conclusions is just, I really encourage people to not reframe, but ask yourself, like, based on what is Johanna mad at me? Well, I haven't seen her since she left and we were fine. So maybe she is just tired. Maybe she hasn't had her cup of coffee yet. And then say, what's the evidence to back that thought up? And if there's not any, then you move on. But
Mm.
jumping to conclusions can get you in a lot of trouble because it's
Yeah.
based on there's nothing to base it on. And
Yeah.
people end up building resentments and getting frustrated. And I didn't want to have to explain why I wasn't mad at 6 o'clock in the morning because I didn't say good morning. By then,
Mhm.
I was like, oh my God, I'm so irritated. Then I really probably was a little frustrated. But definitely the mind reading is just assuming it's about you. And then the fortune telling is because it's about me, that this is how it's going to turn out. So the
Yeah.
jumping to conclusions is kind of a twofold.
It's important for me to like ask the questions to the person
Yes.
when I start to go down that path. And full
Mhm.
transparency, this just happened not too long ago, maybe like 2 months ago with me and Cole in a
Okay.
meeting. And like Cole rolled his eyes at something, and I like,
Oh yeah.
my head was in a different space that morning than his head space. And I immediately took it as like, he is discounting everything that's coming out of my mouth right now. Like he doesn't care what I have to say. I took it as rude, but like, first thing I had to do was just like take a break from the situation. The second thing I had
Yes.
to do was call Cole and say, "Hey man,
What
this
was that about?
this made me feel this way,"
Yes.
and have him explain it of like, "Bro, that's not what was going through my head at all." Like,
And
it,
9 times out of 10, that's exactly what
yeah,
it is.
it's like really because something just crazy happened to me this morning, and I was reliving that in my head at the time. Maybe you said that, and it's like, okay, like. But it is so important for me to like have the courage to just ask the questions, and you can do it in a way that's not like mean or
Oh yeah.
I have to do it with my wife all the time.
Yeah, for sure. I did. There's a and hopefully there's like enough trust in that relationship where the person can hear you and say like, "Hey, like that was on me." And I think that was the scenario with David. Like I was like, "No, that was on me. Like I'm not doing a good enough job taking care of myself. I was in a funky
Mm,
headspace. Like me reacting that way had really nothing to do with you. It's really more of a me issue." And so there is some mutual trust there that you have to have, like that this person is going to like hear me if I come to them.
mhm.
But also you have to like trust that people are going to like be assertive enough and transparent enough if they truly do have a problem with you that they're going to come and say something. And until they say it, like you said, Joanne, like until they say it, like it's based on nothing, and that
That's on nothing.
we're spinning our wheels.
Yes, spinning your wheels. And I like the word that you used, David, is courage. It's like, I appreciate that they had, in that moment to, they spun out like, oh my God, your hand is mad at me, to come back and say, like, are you in a bad mood? Like, did something happen to you? And then I can say, you know what? My bad. I did come on the unit frustrated. I was tired, hadn't had my coffee. And then you can have that open dialogue so that you're not discounting anybody's emotions. And then you're not jumping to conclusions of mind reading that what your hand just went through and then putting that on you. Yeah, I mean, and having that transparency, to call each other out in a helpful, like loving, compassionate way, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we have for number 6?
So this is magnification or minimization. Making a mountain out of a molehill is the magnification. And then the minimization is minimizing what positives, what is going well for you. It's almost that I'm not worthy of that, so I'm just gonna push it to the side because it'll, again, and it kind of goes back to discounting positive. It also goes back to overgeneralization, is that well, it's gonna fail at some point, so I'm just gonna minimize it, not make a big deal out of it. I think that also ties into these tie into self-worth or lack thereof. So yeah, magnification and minimization.
Yeah. I'll definitely just jump in real quick and say I'm a notorious minimizer, I think. And it does tie to self-worth and like self-confidence. Like, can I handle this person's hard feelings? Like, can I handle this person's like anxiety, their depression, their funkiness, and if I feel like I can't, I'll minimize as a way of controlling that.
Oh
And
wow,
it's
yeah.
like I'll let you, shut that down. It's all good. Fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And it just like,
Yeah.
shutting it down, but it's really a Cole issue with like him not being like comfortable with other people's hard feelings,
Right.
I'm the opposite side of that spectrum. I'm the magnifying glass to the
Me
problem.
too.
It's a disaster.
Everything is gonna fail.
We're all going down.
Yeah.
Sky is falling, y'all. It's falling.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on the magnification. And I don't know. I feel like when I say this is a big problem, then for me, which is insane, the bigger the problem that I make in my own head, the bigger I feel, if that even makes sense. So my problems are so big and significant. Look at what I'm going through. You don't know because look what I have. And the catastrophizing. I don't even. That's what that right.
You said that right. I can never say that word right, but you did say it
I
right.
I was scared. I went all in on that one. But yeah, for me, sadly enough, and maybe David, you can relate. It's like that feels safer to make it a bigger deal because then I can be like, oh my gosh, this is a big deal. This is big. This is big deal, which is terrifying. Than to minimize it, because if I minimize it, it just doesn't feel relevant. So for me, I got to blow it out of proportion, make a big deal so that everybody else can know about it.
Yeah. I think another part of it is I would rather be pleasantly surprised when I handle the situation versus being underwhelmed.
It's a control element on both sides of it.
Yeah.
And I think they go hand in hand, or I'd imagine they would. Like for every magnifier to the minimizer, and every minimizer to the magnifier. Because I know like different scenarios that I've had like with both of you individually, like where I have come in and minimized, like and sometimes it's kind of talking it down, and sometimes it's like straight up minimization, and it's not a great move on my part. So I think they like the human the nature of humans to be on that seesaw of like, oh, this is going down, now we gotta go, it's a very natural process that happens.
Yeah, and I'm hoping with the education on stinking thinking is that we can, again, emotions trigger our thoughts, and thoughts trigger behaviors, and in that we can kind of learn emotional balance and being safe with our thoughts, even if they're stinking thinking. And then just learning, like, every person is going through this. It's not just a Johanna thing, Cole thing, David thing, a patient thing. It is a human thing. And I think if we can, like, normalize stinking thinking, and and that everyone has these screwed up thoughts. However, and what I try and teach in the practice is it's what we do with those thoughts. It's not letting them take over. I mean, it's okay to be irrational. It's okay to have your mental filter or your magnification. However, it's what you do with that, and then how that either we can maintain it and like change it, or if it snowballs, how we can catch it before it's affecting the 10 people in our lives versus maybe versus the 3, and just creating an emotional balance. I feel like is kind of at the heart of the bread and butter of stinking thinking is getting kind of a grip on our internal dialogue so that we feel safe with ourselves, which in turn creates safety with those around us. So,
yeah. Snap it up.
I'm doing poetry snapping there.
Woo!
What number are we on now? 7?
We are at emotional reasoning. So I think with mental filter and emotional reasoning, my feelings are real, so this is how life must be.
Mm.
And yeah, so emotional
I
reasoning
feel
is just
worthless, so I must be worthless.
exactly, yes. I feel angry and the world is out to get me. Yeah, emotional reasoning is just you know, it's again going back to that example when you drop the pen, you break your coffee cup and you hit your head in the cabinet. So it must be it's going to be an awful day. It's
Yep.
very much like that. You wake up on the wrong side of the bed, and so emotional reasoning is I'm hungry, angry, lonely, tired, so it's going to be an awful day. Hungry, angry, lonely, very bad day. And so that is the part where kind of the positive affirmations come in, big there too. Is that my emotions are fleeting and they're not going to stick forever like everyone thinks. I'm not going to feel angry forever. I'm not going to feel guilt and shame or grief forever. They will ebb and flow. Again, it's what we do with those emotions and how we can reason them into creating a day and an experience that we want.
Mm. Love that. One thing that makes me think of it like just being mindful of your feelings and that they're fleeting. You know, I'm gonna give a little quick shout out to an app that has nothing to do with us, but it's really good. It's called How We Feel. How We Feel is a really good app. It's free, and it's designed basically to journal and capture your emotions. You can do like an emotional check-in in like 15 seconds. Say like what feeling you got, where you're at, who you're with, what you're doing. And then they'll like log it, and you can go back and track like your emotions changing like at different times and different. I think it's a really good perspective on awareness, and also that everything passes. It all the temporary. So
yes,
yeah.
And I've seen that app that you're speaking of. I know the guy that you told about, and I've seen him use it, and I've seen it the dynamic change from when he first started a couple of weeks ago to now. Yeah, and so I think journaling your feelings, whether it's with an emoji or with an app or journaling or doing. I'm not when I journal, I usually do I don't do dear diary, blah blah blah. It's more of just words, but I think that's important because you can kind of monitor that and see what it looks like. Is it Monday mornings that I really need to have that self-care so that my emotional reasoning doesn't spin out? Or is it, Thursday afternoon when I've talked to my brain off and I'm tired? So yeah, I think just being mindful and aware.
Yeah. Very good. All right. Which one are we on now? Which one number are we on?
Oh,
right?
Are we on 7 or 8?
We're on 8.
8, dang. Yeah. Okay. Whoa. All right.
Should statements. Should statements. So there are 5 words in should statements that I encourage people to not use and that I will say rephrase. The guys really don't like it, however. So the 5 words that I advocate for not to use are should, what if, but, always, and never. I call those stuck words. Should statements are just not based in reality. And I am going to share a personal example that I found with should statements. So I was living in Greenville and I was working in Clinton, South Carolina, and I was doing a 12 to 14-hour shift on an outpatient. And I had stayed late. I was running group. I was so tired. It was like 9:30 at night. A patient wanted to talk to me. And I got in my car and I was like, God, I should have just left earlier. I should have talked to him. I should have taken that lunch that I miss consistently. So I was shoulding all over myself. And
very nice. Good play on words there.
Yeah. I call it the shouldy approach, if you will. And so I'm getting in my car. I'm getting ready to get
letters made that say I just should my pants.
Oh,
classic, David. Classic. Those can be the holiday. They can be the office Christmas sweaters. There you go.
I am so excited. Okay.
So
anyway, I'm leaving the office. Oh gosh, we could do so much with that, guys. So I'm getting on the interstate, coming from the Clinton exit, getting on to head towards Greenville, and I just see red light, brake light, and I am just stewing. Shouldn't have talked to him. I should have left early. I shouldn't be sitting in this traffic. And I do this for 43 minutes on the interstate, just shoulding all over myself. And After 43 minutes, I see an ambulance, and the closer I get, there were 2 fatalities. And I just thought, oh my gosh, Johanna, like, you have been shooting all about what, your job, helping people, traffic, when these 2 people just lost their life. And that was so profound for me. Like, I started, I mean, it brings tears to my eyes now. Like, I started bawling, crying, like, just apologizing, saying I was sorry for being so selfish. And, the fact of the matter, though, is that shoulds keep you stuck. I talked to him, so I shouldn't have, to say I should have left early. Well, I didn't. To say I shouldn't have talked to him. Well, I did. So, I mean, it talk about chasing your tail. Should statements and the no words, I call them, the should, what if, but, whatever, what if, always, and never, just keep you stuck. I mean, there's no room for growth. There's no room for possibility when you're using should statements. I should be a millionaire. It should be sunny outside. Well, none of that is accurate. And so when you stay in that place with should statements, it literally, I mean, it created anger in me. It created resentment in me. And so that I vowed that evening, like, I will actively not use should statements and those 5 words, because they're hopeless.
Yeah. What are the 5 words again?
Should, you should be better to me, right? Or what if? Well, what if it rains? What if it doesn't? What if we go to a movie? What if we don't? What if I get sober? What if I don't? Always, I get a lot of, well, the last 3 I get a little pushback on, but always, you're always mad at me. Well, I wasn't mad at you yesterday, and now I'm really pissed, right?
I always lose.
Yeah. Or never, I would say, you never hold my hand anymore. Well, you held my hand in the car yesterday. And then, but I get a lot of, what's wrong with but? But for me just feels very negative. Like, this is really great being on this podcast, but, well, was it good or was it not? I mean, we could sit here all day and analyze the words. I just feel like these 5 words are just the stuck words. Yeah. And if you can actively work on reframing them, and it creates like a defensiveness when you're like, well, you're always late, or you never hold my hand. Like, that does not open the lines of effective communication, right?
Yep.
So just also, again, internal dialogue, external dialogue. So
yeah, it sounds like these words are, they may happen at different times in the day, but they're like a check engine light, or like a flashing, like check engine, I guess, or warning light, I guess. But then it pushes you towards like resentment and isolation, as opposed to like acceptance and like, connection is what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
It sounds like a really good way to buy a ticket to the shitty go round. Who wants to go ride on a shitty go round? You know what I'm saying? We don't want to ride. We want to be on a merry-go-round.
We are going to be
going back to gratitude, though. I mean, gratitude seems to be the medicine for all of this. Every single one of these, it's like, hey, when you feel that you're in this place, go make a gratitude list and tell me you don't feel a little better.
Right. And for me, it's like the self-awareness. When I'm aware, I can actually do something about it. I don't have to be in my stuckness. I don't have to be on the shit go round. I don't have to be hungry, angry, lonely, tired, and resentful with people that don't even know that that's what I'm experiencing. And so to be gracious with yourself and compassionate with yourself. And, I really do encourage like the gratitude list or that app, the feelings app. I mean, I am the queen of giving the patients that feeling wheel. And my parents, when I do family sessions now, they know, like, don't say you're good to Johanna, because that's not a feeling. So it's working. Yeah.
All right, number 9.
Number 9, labeling. I'm an addict. I'm a loser. I'm not smart. I mean, all the things. I mean, there's so many things we can do, and labeling self and then labeling other people. I see a lot, in the family dynamics, but labeling is just pretty self-explanatory. And they're really just abstractions to keep you from your own in truth with yourself or with others. You know, if someone annoys you, rubs you the wrong way, you say, oh, well, he's a jerk or whatever. And it takes away the ability to look at that person and say, well, why is he being a jerk?
Mm.
You know, what can we do to change that dynamic? Or if I'm an addict, or I'm not smart, it doesn't leave me a lot of space for growth, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
I got,
a creep.
oh
How
my
weird.
God.
Well played, David. Well played. Love that
He's
song.
been waiting all day to like work that in. Okay. So we need to have like I would love to hear like the discourse between like in the rooms in like 12-step traditions, you know, to define yourself as an alcoholic or an addict. And then how does that fit in, or does that butt up against the labeling? What do you guys think?
Ooh, that's a hot topic.
I know
That
we
is
need
a hot
Lucas.
topic.
Yeah, you got to
Next
invite Lucas into
episode.
that one. Yeah.
I think I can thread the needle on it, but I mean, what do y'all think?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm gonna plead the fifth on this one. I want to opt out. I want Lucas to take that one.
I'm gonna jump in. I'm
Cole,
sorry.
I'd like to hear your threading of the needle.
Yeah, I think, you know, in those kind of vulnerable spaces, you're defining it, because like that is like part of who you are in that moment. Like you're in a recovery meeting and you're there for a reason. And that reason is that you have like substance abuse problems. And it's like a reminder to yourself. It's the same thing when I come and sit down in my therapy office and I'm sitting in my chair back here. I am a therapist. That is one of the many roles I play. When I go down the street to my own therapist's office and I sit on the couch, I'm a client. That is another role I play. When I go home, you know, I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a son. Like I have all these different roles I play. And I think in like with denial being such a big part of addiction, it is like a call to action to remind yourself, like, hey, this is one of the roles I have, like an alcoholic and an addict. I have a problem with this and I need to take this serious. And in this meeting, in this moment, it's a reminder to myself, hey, my name is Cole, I'm an alcoholic. It's a reminder that doesn't mean I'm not a son. That doesn't mean I'm not a therapist. Doesn't mean I'm not a client, etc. So I think there's like a way of like realizing like it's not a all or nothing. You know what I mean?
Well said. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that is
it's
good. It's just
like
a hat that you wear.
yes.
I
Yes.
think, yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, Cole. Well said.
Yeah.
Thread that needle. We'll have Lucas
Yeah.
check tape on it, see what he thinks of it.
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah.
again, it's the negative hats that we wear. You know, it's the negative commentary about and it's self-worth, that I'm not good enough. I am only defined by this, and that's just not accurate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
All right. What do we have?
All right. All right. Last but not least is personalization and blame. So personalization is essentially just taking it on all of yourself. The day was bad because of me. My husband's day was, in a bad mood because of me. I'm an alcoholic because I didn't do enough. It's holding yourself responsible for everything around you, which can't possibly be the truth, right? And it's kind of selfish too to think that I'm not important, that I've created this many world's problems. So the personalization is I take it all on. The opposite of that is the blaming of others, that you did this to me and you did this to me, and I'm just the innocent bystander. And that is, again, very all or nothing. And then identifying the roles of how what got you there. And it's especially when it comes to like blaming other people, I kind of refer to it as like a game of hot potato. You keep tossing the hot potato back and they're like, I don't want it. I don't want it. And then whoever gets stuck with it is, going, well, I wasn't even there. I didn't do that, So a lot of resentment, a lot of guilt, a lot of blame, a lot of shame comes in with that. So the personalization is just kind of, I use a lot of the I statements. What role did I play in this, if any, and how can I be of service to self and others to fix this dynamic, change this dynamic? And then, I don't really blame for me is I would be more of personalization than blame if I had to pick. Blame it just feels at times kind of lazy. Like I don't want to put in the effort, so I'm going to make it about other people. On the flip side, it's all about me and look at all my problems. So that's personalization and blame.
Yeah, it sounds similar to what you were talking about with like emotional reasoning with like the clients or the patients in the psych hospital when you were coming in and being like,
yeah,
I think that was emotional reasoning. Maybe you were saying for that.
Yeah,
one.
no, you're right. You're right.
It's like the personalization like overlaps to that.
Absolutely.
I'm a lazy bone, man. I'll blame. And it's I have like certain targets in my life which are easy to blame, and I feel like a real piece of poo poo for it. But like my kids,
Well, see, now you know, and now you can.
my
work on
kids,
it.
you know what I mean? It's so easy for me to blame my bad mood on like a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old who are acting like, guess what, 9-year-olds and 6-year-olds. So it's like it's a I don't know. It's definitely like a deferring of my own like responsibility to take care of myself emotionally, you know. So
Absolutely.
I don't know. It's really like it's an important one to catch because they'll take you to resentment as well.
Yeah. Yeah. You made me think of something I'm going to share. It's pretty embarrassing, but you know, let's do this, right? So I had a dream, and y'all cannot steal this. I'm going on record. This is all Johanna.
Okay.
So I was in a dream, and I was on a large stage. Go figure.
Yes.
And I was wearing a top hat, and I had a cane. And I was going along the stage, hitting the cane from side to side, singing, "A healthy me is a healthy we, and me upside down is we." All right. And then I woke up and I wrote this in my journal to the side of the bed. And the truth of the matter is, it's very accurate that when I am not well, the people around me are not well. So self-care is critical on all of these for stinking thinking. Whether we're in active substance use disorder, whether we're in early recovery, whether we're in a maintenance stage, like self-care of our emotional wellness is critical, because when Johanna's not well, no one else is going to be well.
Hey, look, mom ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. That's what we said growing
a
up.
healthy me is a healthy we, and me upside down is we. See?
You see it, Dave? You see it?
I love it.
And then it's a W.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here all day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I thought of that when I was doing in my sleep. So yeah, self-care and emotional insight and emotional intelligence for sure.
It's good stuff. And there's nothing to be embarrassed about there. Every one of David's dreams, he's on a stage with a top hat and a cane. So it's like a very normal thing. Like there's nothing weird about that at all.
David and I might unfortunately share the same brain sometimes.
Yeah, we may.
Yeah.
Can we do a run? Can we do a rundown to 10 again?
Yeah, sure. So
quick,
all or nothing, overgeneralization.
Yep.
Mental filter, discounting the positive, jumping to conclusions, emotional reasoning, should statements, and the no words are should, always, but, never, and what if. Labeling, personalization, and blame.
Love
Did I get all of them?
All right.
Did I miss
I
one?
have a hot take though.
Okay, let's do it.
So how much of stinking thinking do you think contributes to like motivation and progression?
All of it. I mean, I think it's pretty high up there.
Like isn't there a good side of this that you need some stinking thinking to be like, no, I can go do more?
Yeah, yes. I'm so used to looking at stinking thinking as
In a
a
negative
negative.
light.
Yeah, for sure. So the fact reframed that for me.
It
Yeah, I
can be
think
taken that way. Like, and real quick, like before I got sober, stinking thinking I was running from it. I was using it as an excuse to like drown myself and my emotions and like alcohol and drugs and like run from my problems. But today I've kind of trained my brain in recovery to use it as motivation to make progress in areas. And this stands out to me. I was recently listening to an interview about Nick Saban, who is like one of the world's greatest coaches in football. And Nick Saban, and I hope I'm not butchering this, I'm pretty sure they were saying that like when the guys would win, he would come in and give them a good job, but then quickly tell them what they could have done better or what we could have done differently. And almost in like a yelling fashion or
Sure.
like
Yeah.
fashion. And it was when they lost that he would come in more even kill. But it was to always keep the guys on their toes and to always remind them like, hey, we didn't do it perfectly. Like we can
Right.
always adjust. We can always do some things better.
Right.
And that was kind of standing out to me as we were running through these of like, don't you need a little bit of like negative talk to yourself to be like, I can do better?
Well, yeah, and I think there's a lot of humility that comes with it. And for when you were asking, well, is there a positive to thinking? It kind of caught me off guard. But that, if I'm to be honest, when I mental filtered, when those people gave me those compliments and the other people were like, not so complimentary, it was like, you know what, Joanna, you just rocked it. You just talked to 300 people on resilience, so you're right. There is an ebb and flow to it. There are the positives and there are the negatives. And the fact that we are now all aware of the 10 types, and there are many others, but as it relates to substance use disorder, that we can bring them to a positive light and we can actively work on them both in the trenches and when we're rock stars. So absolutely.
Yeah, I think you described it really well earlier, Johanna, when you were talking about like it's all about being aware of it and also having like some just like acceptance of this thinking, but not letting it dominate your life. Right. So when I hear stinking thinking, I think when it's dominating your life and it's driving you away from your values, it's driving you away from connections, it's hurting yourself and others, that's when the thinking is stinking. It's stinking. Like before that, it's just thinking, you know what I mean? It's like, it is like, you probably need to be on some level, like aware of like for the mental filter, like aware of that. So you don't like just live your life as like a bum. I can't just go around like just doing whatever I want all the time. You know what I mean? And saying whatever I want all the time. I need to be aware of that. I need to be aware that my actions have an impact on other people. I need to be aware of minimization, but sometimes minimization is a good thing. So it's just when it's the only thing you're doing that it's like really stinking, you know?
Yeah.
So, but you said it earlier, like it's all about like being aware of it and being, I don't know, just like kind of like just knowing it's there and not trying to necessarily drive it away, but like catching yourself like of like how to like reset a little bit.
Right. I mean, like when I'm working with the guys, like we'll pick two when they first hear about it and kind of get familiar with what stinking thinking is and how to kind of and I've given them all the Post-its. Like I did that activity with the guys. So to have the 3 Post-its around your house to kind of reframe your thinking, but just the education behind it is so powerful for me. And I say this every time, and I'm going to say it again. Each time I do stinking thinking, I hear it differently. It feels differently. It impacts me in a different way. So sometimes I am working on my 2 emotional filter and emotional reasoning. And then sometimes I need to be working on personalization and should statements. Well, I can work on that one. Jumping to conclusions. So there is a profound like hope in stinking thinking that I just am very passionate about and love doing it. And so I find it like unbelievably meaningful.
Just so you know, they're taking your this to heart because I was at the house the other day. I had to meet a tile guy there at the sober living house, and I saw Post-it notes everywhere, and I was like, "What is going on here?" They're like all over the bathroom mirrors.
Really? Yeah, I did. That's wonderful. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh, that means a lot. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that.
No,
those Post-its better have been on those walls. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just hope this brings like open communication and changes the dynamic with yourself and then in turn with others. So
yeah.
Nice.
Sweet.
What you got anything else today?
Just work on your cognitive distortions. Pick your 2 and then pick 2 this week, then pick 2 the next 5 weeks and then see where we're at. That's your homework assignment. From the packet.
I got it. I know exactly which 2 I'm going to do as well. We're supposed to share that. Are we doing that later? What are we talking about that?
Well, what would you pick, Cole?
I'm going to go with blaming. And I'm also going to go with, I'm looking at my list here. I'm gonna go with minimization and blaming. I'm gonna go
Okay.
with those are two that I'm gonna be working on.
All right, we'll talk about it in staff meeting on Friday.
There we go. Sounds
What
good.
about you, David?
Let's just stick with Cole.
Okay. Fair
I
enough,
would
fair
go with all or nothing thinking and discounting the positive.
All
I
right,
think are two that really stick out for me.
awesome. Yeah, I'd love to hear what other people think theirs are and like how they can work on them. That'd be cool.
Put it in the comments below on the video.
All right.
And be sure
We
to
would love to hear from
like
you.
button.
Smash the like button.
Hit
Subscribe.
That'd be great.
Womp womp.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Johanna, thank you so much for taking the time to sit with us this morning and go over stinking thinking.
Thank you. This has been
Um,
awesome.
We can't wait to have you back.
Yeah. Thank
Me
you,
neither.
Johanna.
See you soon.
All right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Yep.
Bye, everybody.